W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It's Football Friday.
Super wild card weekend.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Bills, Steelers, 1 o'clock live Sunday right here.
Right here, right now.
Guys, light me on fire and throw me through a table. Look where we are. Wild card weekend and the Bills are a 10-point favorite against the Steelers. Amazing. How'd this happen?
Here we are. We are.
I hope it's bad weather because I think that's more fitting for Pittsburgh than it would be for Buffalo.
Yeah.
If something happens and the Bills lose,
Don't do that.
Mike Danger.
I think Pittsburgh will show up. These teams are very similar. The Bills have been pretty inconsistent in those wins. I have the Bills winning 21-17, but nothing's comfortable with this team.
Happy birthday.
Gene Battaglia.
I'm with you on this. I think the Bills win. Hard for me to lay points in this game. Really hard for me to lay points.
Yeah.
The Patriots are sticking to the apparent plan and promoting Gerard Mayo to replace Bill Belichick.
Sabres with a victory by a score of 5-3.
Amerks Hockey. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Hey there. Good afternoon. Pull up a stool and join us. Welcome on into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for making us part of your afternoon, part of your sports weekend. No matter how you're listening at 95.7 FM or AM 950 locally in the free-to-download Odyssey app, or if you're checking out the video stream, The Fan Rochester on YouTube, also on Twitch. I'm Mike Danger. That's Gene Battaglia.
And everybody, please, a nice round of applause and a happy birthday for my partner, Mike Danger, who turns I don't know what today. Happy birthday, dude.
I don't like this at all. Like, I'm so against the added attention. I don't want it. I just keep my head down and do my job and go to work, and I don't want... I don't like crave validation. I don't necessarily look for recognition. My daughter and my wife. So Sandy, if you don't know, is Sandy from Spezzano and Sandy. She's on the Buzz, on 98.9 The Buzz. Spezzano is off. So she did the show this morning with Marty Casper and with my daughter. She invited my 19-year-old daughter, Leah, to come in and sit in the studio with her. Now, last night, before she went to bed, she's like, how long are you going to stay in the basement? Because, I want to decorate and you need to be surprised. And I'm like, look, don't decorate. I don't like it. I don't need it. I'm not a boy. I'm not a toddler. It doesn't mean anything. Streamers don't excite me. Like I can appreciate the gesture and the thought, and that's all that matters. You're thinking of me. Thank you. I appreciate it, but you don't have to worry about decorating for me. I don't know when I'm going to come upstairs. I'm just going to watch the Sabres, and I'll come. I'm not going to plan my night around the decorating of the house for my birthday. Plus, it's a mess, and somebody's got to clean it up. I'm not a fan. I wake up this morning, get ready, go to work, get in my car. My car is decked out. So my little one blew up balloons, threw balloons in my car. I've got happy birthday signs all over the place, Star Wars birthday decorations. I'm a Star Wars nerd. So they got all this stuff in my car. And I don't plan on the extra time. I'm already up against it. I've got to be here by a certain time because I'm on the air with
CMF.
CMF. So, okay. So I'm kind of rolling my eyes. No harm, no foul. I get it done. I'm here on time. I get to my office upstairs because my daughter's in here with Sandy. She completely decorates my office. I got streamers, balloons, all kinds of crap, signs, all kinds of crap in my office. I'm like... I feel blessed because it's nice to know that they care, but they're doing it because they know it drives me nuts. They're doing it because they know this is the reaction they're going to get. Like, I'm rolling my eyes at them. And then, of course, I come in here, and if you're watching the video stream, we got streamers, we got signs, we got all kinds of stuff. I know you shared it on Elon's Twitter, on X at the Fan Rochester. We are fully festive, and... guess who's going to end up having to clean this up? That'll be me.
That's the irony. It's like, oh, wait, your daughters aren't going to be here coming up, and Sandy's not going to come down to
that'll be me. I'll be cleaning the streamers out of the sports bar and cleaning the streamers out of my office, and had to get them out of my car in order to drive properly this morning. My goodness. But thank you, Gene, and thank you to all the. It's overwhelming, honestly. Your birthdays now have become overwhelming because everybody knows it's your birthday because of social media.
Right.
And people that you talk to less than once a year will reach out to you directly to say happy birthday. And it's like, hey, happy birthday. Where you been the last 12 months? But I appreciate every single one of those messages, as overwhelming as it is. It's humbling. And it's a fun day.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I thought it was Breezy who put the stuff up. I ready to give her the credit.
Well, it was 6 years ago on my birthday where the PXY knuckleheads did the same thing. They went over and above in my office. They barbified my office. Everything was pink. They took pink gift wrap, like shiny gift wrap on my door. They had strobe lights going on there. It was like Studio 54 in my office, and they did that
it was almost like a prank they did.
Yeah, it was like a gag. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to order a pizza for lunch so that we can all eat lunch together while we clean this up. My God. And that was my only, like, look, I don't have the time to clean it up. So let's work together. Let's clean it up. My kid did it. I will gladly clean it up.
I think we leave it up for the weekend. I think we come back and we figure out, boy, remember when that was up and we were wondering what the Buffalo Bills are going to be doing? Now we'll take it down. I think it stays up this weekend, Mike Danger. You're not taking it down. Your birthday is today, and you're going to leave tonight.
Okay.
And for everybody, including Joe Coppergreco, I think Joe Coppergreco has to look at this. Now you're on board, aren't you? The Italian carriers. I want to wish Mike Danger happy birthday.
I don't know what they do to my studio, but the streamers everywhere. My studio.
You're not kidding. We're working in Joe Coppergreco's
this is Joe's studio.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Joe's studio.
Just put his name on it. All right, you're right. You know what? Maybe I will keep him up this weekend, and we'll come back on Monday, a federal holiday. We're working. We'll be here. We'll have reaction, whether positive or negative, to what goes on. Or will we? Will Monday be different? Because now, what we've been saying for the last 24, 48 hours with this weather, it's starting to get real. What do we know?
Yeah, what do we know? Well, the National Weather Service this afternoon put out one of these fancy, easy-to-read maps. And in this map, they're showing what is going to be the accumulation Saturday night into Sunday. And for Buffalo, all the way down to Orchard Park. So that's noteworthy because sometimes these bands like the Colt Cane, they don't hit Buffalo. But for that wide area, 100% chance of 6 inches. So they're saying at minimum, it's going to be, a messy, slow commute. Okay. But you never know where that band may set up. So Kathy Hochul, and I got to check this, she either has or will declare a state of emergency in New York for the winter weather here. So what does that mean for this game? Adam Schefter 1 hour ago tweeted out that same photo and said, as far as the NFL is concerned, everything is status quo. But what I'm telling you is you got to stay tuned this week. And I'm not saying that from a Count Hesco, watch longer, fear. This is actually one, like if you have tickets to the game or you're curious about the game, I could just, what would be the harm? Let me just put this out there. I'm moving the game to Monday night. I know you may have tickets, but it is a holiday, number one. And whatever this system is, it'll pass through. And would you rather have the Bills playing in a foot of snow where it's going to get weird, and it would be a nightmare for the season to end like that? Or would you rather have the thing clear out and play on a nice clean surface? They might be a little cold.
You know where I'm going to go next, right? Because it's what we always hear when this happens. Right. Well, what are we doing?
What are we doing? It has nothing to do with the system. That's the thing. It's like it's the Warren Sharp Dumbest Take of the Year award. Warren Sharp last year, who I think is very smart, said, why would you not build a dome? This is before they moved the Lions game, because it's a public safety issue. Okay, so if you had a dome today, the game's not getting played on Sunday if you decided. Like, it's people getting to and from the game safely. That is the issue. If we're talking about football and the enjoyment and the quality of play, that's a different conversation. It's a different conversation.
Well, they are a team that is built for a dome.
No.
Yes.
But like 30 years from now, I don't know what iteration.
But they're not going to regress. It's not like the NFL is going to go backwards and you're going to start seeing them run the wing T because they want to ground and pound like that's not happening anymore. This is where the NFL is. It's where it's going.
Say this though. How about this? Would you agree with this or no? that in the McDermott era, this team, I don't know if they're built for this, but they won a Cowboy game like this. Of all the teams, they're the most built for this.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
For sure. And not only that, the offensive line has been fantastic this year. This is the best performance Sean McDermott team has gotten out of his offensive line. Not just the individuals, but all of them being healthy, playing every game, the continuity. It's all there. And they're a big reason why the Bills are in this position. I think it is that offensive line that we don't talk enough about.
Yeah, and the defensive line too, certainly. And if you listen to One Bills Live, sometimes you got to listen carefully for little tells. The fact that Chris Brown is talking about Linval Joseph, he was inactive down in Miami. But Linval Joseph, remember, they signed him midseason. Massive human being, just kind of a run-stuffing defensive tackle who was kind of quasi-retired, wasn't in camp. He's at that stage of his life. But can you get the best out of Linval Joseph, for one? If Chris Brown is talking about Linval Joseph, okay, that's going to be the mindset. He's definitely going to be active. And if you put Linval Joseph spelling Daquan Jones, or dare I say on a third one, put the two of them together, holy mackerel, look out. So good luck running the ball, Pittsburgh.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about Pittsburgh and the Steelers as they come in when later this afternoon we're joined by ESPN's Brooke Pryor covering the Steelers for ESPN's NFL Nation. She'll stop by right around 4:25.
I'm going to tell Brooke this off the air, and for any media friends, or if you're at the game yourself, bring a shovel. Okay, bring a shovel. I did that last time. I told Armando, hey, if you're stuck, because that Colt game, Danger, I can't go out to your car. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I getting out of this? And you do you twist and turn the wheel back and forth, and finally you get enough traction, then you're out.
Get a shovel.
Yeah, bring a shovel.
Not just a snow brush. A snow brush won't cut it. You need to bring a shovel.
Bring a shovel just in case you need to kind of dig out a little bit.
Do you need to borrow the man plow? Can have my man plow if you need it, Gino, Sunday.
You know what? I want you to have the man plow because that is important in North Greece. I don't think we're getting all that much. How much are we getting? I mean,
you mentioned Count Hetzko. I mean, I did actually see his report saying that the heaviest snow will be west of Rochester, Batavia to Buffalo. That's where they will get 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. Oh, no. There he is.
Well, my Danger, you should be very, very... I'm
Wait,
glad you...
Where'd Gene go? Gene's gone all of a sudden from the video. I don't know where Gene went.
You should be
I
watching
just hear the voice of Count Hetzko.
13 Vam News tonight, because if you don't watch, you don't know, and you should be very, very scared. So you need to watch longer. And I will tell you, in Buffalo, 18, 19, 20... I tell Alhart we need to lead with this. Now, in fact, no news tonight, just me.
Count Hetzko's telling Alhart how to run the broadcast now. That's good. How many years has Alhart been on the air at 13? What, 60?
55, 56, 57. Very, very close. It's good that you count.
Amazing. Anyways, well, Brooke, yes, get a shovel. And I think Brooke probably is equipped being from Pittsburgh, but it's different here. It is different here. You want to be properly equipped, bring a shovel.
Yeah, and I would say leave early, especially with Steeler fans. They don't know where they're going half the time. Yeah. Like, for the Steeler fan that doesn't have... You go to a Bills game regularly, you know, A, B, C, you got your points. Just pull it ahead there. Like as Tom George used to say, give yourself an extra half an hour.
Double triple your time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Danger.
Gurney's on the expressways. Rest his soul. PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In, stops by the sports bar in about 10-15 minutes here with his wild card weekend plays in the NFL.
Yeah, so the Bills line moved a little bit. It was at 10 yesterday. Now it's at 9.5. Pittsburgh getting that, but the over-under has just crashed here, 34.
Yeah.
What game was it? It was the Big Ten championship game. Remember that tight window where like Michigan was favored by 25 and like the over-under was 20? It was something crazy. That's a pretty tight window if you think about it. Over-under at 34 and the Bills giving 9.5. If you want the Bills and the under, it's a very predictable score. I mean, I keep getting back to this though, Danger. That looks like a sucker bet.
I feel bad that I didn't take advantage of Bills -10, or Pittsburgh +10. I should have taken the Steelers +10 or +10.5 if you could find it, because now I've got it at +9.5, and I feel like that might be the line. Like you could certainly see this being Bills 24, Pittsburgh 14, and then you would lose if you took Pittsburgh with the points. But we'll get PJ's take on that. And all the other games too. Five other games to discuss as well, and plenty of intriguing storylines. Let's get you some winners, some prop bets that he might like as well. We'll dive into Super Wild Card Weekend from a sports betting perspective with PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In here in about 10 minutes or so. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
John writing in our handle on X, the fan Rochester. Instead of happy birthday, here's a good morning. Go Bills.
God, I meant to start the show by saying good morning. That's going to be my new signature, Gino. Good morning. Welcome on into the sports bar. Like, what? What did he just say? Good morning. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, that's right.
So this is like from when you go to your West Side Country Club. You say good morning to the attendant checking you in, and then they don't react. It's kind of, but it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Usually the thing that gets me is I'll get a late start on a Saturday or a Sunday. I'd like to go to the gym earlier. I'd like to go to the West Side Country Club before noon. I'd like to go in the morning, but it never works out that way. It's always right on the edge, and I'll look at the clock as I'm walking in. I'm like, oh, I have to consciously tell myself that it's afternoon and not say good morning, because good morning is the default. Hey, good morning. It's the default.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more confident you say it, the more respect you get. So it's good morning. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, even if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, good morning. Good morning. Welcome into the sports bar. Thanks for reaching out, John. We appreciate you and everybody else that makes the sports bar part of their afternoon.
They hired a new coach today in New England.
I saw that.
Or not really a new coach. He's been there. Gerard Mayo, promoted. So when you're promoted, you don't have to go through all the interview, which I would just kind of wonder, why wouldn't you just kind of wait, unless you're thinking Mayo may get other offers. But we heard he was the coach in waiting, and ta-da, that ended up being the case. So to me, actually, this is great news for everybody in Western New York, because what really changes in New England?
Well, I imagine his coaching staff changes some, right? You're not bringing back all the same guys. I'm wondering what happens to the kid. I'm wondering what happens to Steve Belichick. Not that Steve Belichick is, what stirs the sauce. I mean, like, where he ends up, he probably goes with his old man.
Yeah, probably goes with daddy. But this is the fascinating thing about this week. Like, hey, what if Philadelphia wins Monday night? They went to the Super Bowl last year. They could win in Tampa. I mean, we're kind of just ruling that one out. What if Dallas wins? Well, they should. They're the number 2 seed. My point being, those are kind of the prime jobs that we think Belichick would want, except they're not open. You really think he wants to go to Atlanta? I could certainly say, like, Carolina is not attractive. Like, what is right now, of all the open positions, is there anyone that you say, oh, yeah, Bill Belichick is going there? Absolutely not. I can't see him as a Charger head coach. I can't see him in Seattle or Nashville or anywhere else that's open.
Yeah. No, it feels like if you were to go anywhere, it would be a team that's right now preparing for a playoff game. Maybe it's Philly. Maybe it's Dallas. Maybe it is a team like Tennessee. I don't know, but
I'm going to give you another one, and I'll drink to that next hour.
Okay.
Again, a team that missed the postseason, and we're kind of blind to this. You can kind of figure this out, but like a team that right now, I think that this time next year we'll be looking for a new head coach. So why wait? Do the move now.
So it was a clause in Mayo's contract that made him Belichick's successor and allowed the Patriots to move forward. I mean, I guess that's a power move by Mayo. You get that worked into your contract when you sign to be whatever their inside linebackers coach, and I'm next in line. I mean, what did Josh McDaniels not have that Gerard Mayo did have to get that worked into his deal?
Maybe he did and just got tired of waiting around, like the old man's never going to leave.
Right. So that's the big news out of New England. The big news out of Buffalo today, Sean McDermott ruling out Gabe Davis, Taylor Rapp. They will both miss Sunday's wild card matchup against the Steelers. You'll have a few questionable tags here with corner Rasul Douglas and linebacker Tyrell Dodson, both questionable headed into the weekend. Did not practice today, if I'm not mistaken.
No, so There are some minor changes here, like in women's hockey, they're moving the Mercyhurst game. So as far as I keep refreshing Twitter here, Danger, like, yes, those are the two storylines, two players that are questionable, and then the weather here, just in regards to what may happen or may not happen coming up Sunday.
Lots of strong debate happening online and by the talking heads today as well. All the All-Pro team is just a series of takes. It's just takes. It's takes in the form of here's who we think are the best players in the NFL. And inevitably, when the list comes out and you see the entire NFL All-Pro team, somebody feels snubbed, somebody didn't deserve to be there, somebody's more deserving of that position.
It's what's different about this is it's not the NFL, it's the Associated Press. So these are the football writers of America, Mike Danger, that are putting this together because we take football very seriously. We are the writers. What would the NFL, I'm sure, would like is, hey, we don't need this on the Friday of Wild Card Weekend. Do this in the offseason and have the debate then and everything else. To me, I almost don't have any time for this today. I know a lot of people are debating, my gosh, how could the only one Buffalo Bill made the All-Pro, and it was actually the second team, Taron Johnson.
Yeah.
And they've never put the nickel back in there. It's a new position that they did. And look, Taron Johnson's been valuable. But if you ask me, who would be the most likely to make All-Pro for the Buffalo Bills? I didn't have Taron Johnson at the top.
No. You could make a case for Ed Oliver. You could certainly make a case for Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson, by the way, winning first-team All-Pro honors at quarterback.
Yeah, 45 votes. Brock Purdy had 2. Josh Allen had 1. The thing with Josh Allen is
turnovers.
The turnovers and in big spotlight games. Because when are the writers watching? Well, when the game is on. And look, that Jet opener, horrible. Cincinnati game, not great. So some of Josh's poorer games happened when they were on national television.
You had 3 unanimous selections, by the way, with Tyreek Hill of the Dolphins and a couple of 49ers, both Christian McCaffrey and linebacker Fred Warner, all unanimous All-Pro selections. So that was released today. And just one more NFL note before we get to PJ Glasser here. The Commanders have a new GM or VP of Football Ops or whatever their title is that they're going to give him. Adam Peters is inbound after being the assistant GM to John Lynch in San Francisco. The Niners, I guess, tried to keep him. He's a valuable guy, and now he's got the task of trying to find a new head coach for the Commanders.
We have breaking news here in the sports part, Andrew.
Ow! Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Pete Thamel reporting Kalen DeBoer has informed Washington officials he's taking the job at Alabama. He's going to tell his team soon.
Wow. That's a tough spot. That's a tough spot, man. Good for him.
Well, I
love
can
it.
see why. Look, that's the most you could. Like, how much further are you taking Washington? By the way, Washington ain't in the Pac-12 anymore. You're in with the big boys here of Michigan and Ohio State, so your path is much more difficult. Yeah, he got the most out of that, and I know Maggie Gray just tweeted out, it's good that Alabama went outside the family here for this.
I agree with that. I think that this is... it's a real tough job. You're in the shadow of the greatest of all time, and expectations will always be high. But, the thing about that DeBoer guy that I like, he just feels like he's bulletproof. He feels like he's made of just sandpaper and grit, and that might be exactly the kind of guy
that'll play down there.
Yeah, that you want in that position. I kind of like that move. I feel bad for University of Washington, but what do you do if you're at UW? You parlay that success to a better job.
This is the difference between college football and the NFL. That happened within 48 hours?
Yeah.
Like, Saban out, we're going to go poach the coach, or excuse me, the coach will leave, the team that was the runner-up.
How quickly are they getting through their interviews here? What is their interview process like? Are they held to the same standard that we are when it comes to hiring an EEO? They're not, right? It's a joke.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an absolute joke. I hate that. Well, the only standard that exists is a double standard, so I shouldn't be surprised. But they didn't move very They didn't take their time on that one. That was a pretty deliberate move. All right, let's get to PJ Glasser. He's the host of BetQL's Send It In. You can hear it in the Odyssey app. You can find it on YouTube and Twitch as well on the BetQL network. PJ is going to share his winners for Super Wildcard Weekend next.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with update.
Buffalo Bills Friday injury report. Gabe Davis and Taylor Rapp are both out, listed as questionable. Rasul Douglas and Tyrell Dodson. Stephon Diggs, he is ready.
Trying to lead my team the right way and stack these wins. At this point, you're guaranteed one game at this point. This season has been the season. Going into the playoffs, I'm really just trying to stay in the right mind frame and stay focused on the task at hand.
Now, weather continues to be a major concern. Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency for Western New York. That's going to run through the weekend. Our pregame coverage Sunday will begin at 9 a.m. here on the Fan Rochester. Amherst hockey tonight, the team in Charlotte. Then the outdoor game tomorrow night. Gerard Mayo is the new head coach of the New England Patriots, and this just in. Pete Thamel reporting Alabama is hiring Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
It does. And you guys know we've talked about this before, right? Having a good running game overall is important in this game of football, and then also down the stretch, and in particular because of where we live. Pittsburgh has a good running game. I believe we have a good running game as well, and that is important for both sides, I'm sure.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott, a little preview of what the desire might be with weather looking to be a factor in Orchard Park if they are indeed playing on Sunday. Welcome back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We welcome in, as we do every week, talk about his favorite plays from Super Wild Card Weekend. The host of Send It In, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider PJ Glasser. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. I want to talk Super Wild Card Weekend with you, PJ. I know you're a Bama guy, so I want to get your take on DeBoer. But I also know that there was a head coaching change today, an announcement made today. I mean, they didn't waste any time, but I know Belichick is out in New England. I'm forgetting.
I just mentioned it too. Why can't I remember it?
I was zoning out while you were talking like I normally do. PJ, help us out here. It was a little bit of breaking news this morning. Who's the new head coach in New England?
Gerard Mayo, guys, is taking over for Bill Belichick. A new era starts in New England.
Did you have one queued up, or was that the one you were going to go with?
I thought we were going to go with, the Bama coaching search and how they passed on Dabby Sweeney. I thought maybe we would go that route. But Mayo was a good option, fellas. That was good, too.
Oh, PJ, you were such a sport. PJ, before we talk about all these games coming up, and you were at the Rose Bowl, you do like Alabama football. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer, what's your reaction here to them going after the Washington head coach?
I'm really happy, guys. I wanted one of three guys. It was either him, Sark, or Dan Lanning. I thought any three of the guys would have been a home run hire. Obviously, Lanning and Sark have been on the Alabama staff before. Both guys have ties to the SEC. Both have proven that they can win at a high level. I mean, Dan Lanning, what he's done at Oregon, he was the DC at Georgia. Sark obviously just made the playoff with Texas. And then you got DeBoer, who beat both of those guys this season. He beat Lanning twice. He beat Sark in the playoff. X's and O's wise, it doesn't get much better than DeBoer. He's an offensive genius. I can't wait to watch his offenses in Tuscaloosa. I think the one concern that people have is just the fact that there's really no experience with him in the SEC. There's no real recruiting ties there. But from my perspective, I kind of think it's a good thing, right? Like, replacing Nick Saban it's never going to happen. It's not even going to come close to happening. So why get somebody to compete in the recruiting grounds with Kirby, Lane Kiffin, and all those SEC coaches when you have a guy like DeBoer who's got all these ties to the West Coast? So interesting to see how that translates in the SEC and what they're able to do moving forward. But I think it's a home run hire. The dude wins everywhere he goes. And I think he'll be able to continue to do that at Bama.
And he just comes across as nails. Like, the guy just comes across as the toughest guy on the field. He almost feels to me like the Dan Campbell of college football. It's not as, obviously not as eloquent as Dan Campbell, but you know what I'm saying, PJ? Like, the guy just has this toughness about him that I feel will play well with the Crimson Tide, and kind of, you need a personality in there that's going to make you forget that Nick Saban was your coach before.
No question. And obviously the search, guys, has taken a little longer than maybe people thought. And there were good questions raised. Like, does anybody even want this job? I mean, the expectations are going to be so impossible that all these coaches are in good spots right now where they could stay at their universities and continue building what they are, whether it was Sark, Lanning, Mike Norvell, whoever it was. And obviously with Washington having all these seniors, it felt like a good time for DeBoer to move on. But like you said, Danger, I just like the fact that on the sidelines, he never really gets too high or too low, to your point. He's just kind of stoic, and his players, they love him, and he's a great coach, and I think it's a great hire.
PJ Glasser is your host of Send It In, weekdays on the BetQL Network. Now to the playoffs, PJ. And let's start with the game that's near and dear to our hearts, Pittsburgh and Buffalo. PJ, I am slamming on the brakes here. This looks like a sucker bet. Like, wait a second. In a game that's going to be weather, and mind you, the over-under has gone way down here to 34, but the line itself really hasn't moved all that much. It's almost like they're saying, hey, we really, really would like you to come and place your points here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. PJ, am I wrong for thinking that looks too good to be true? What are your thoughts here on Pittsburgh getting 9.5?
Guys, of all these games, it's probably the one I'm the least confident in just because of the weather and the wind and how it's going to affect the game. Like, you would think it's probably going to be in the advantage of Pittsburgh just because, I mean, as you guys know, Allen's good for at least one turnover, if not two, every single game. If you're a big underdog, that's what you need. You need the extra possessions. You need to create turnovers. The Steelers have won 3 in a row. Ever since Mason Rudolph's taken over, they found an identity on the ground. They're starting to use Najee Harris the way he was meant to be with Jaylen Warren is a great compliment. Now, the T.J. Watt loss is a huge injury, especially in a game like this and the way that he can take over a game and wreck it. But I would probably lean Pittsburgh, guys. I do think Buffalo wins the game, but that is a lot of points. And with Mike Tomlin, I trust him to create a game plan, to find a way to muck it up and keep it close. And as you guys know, I mean, the Bills were in a dogfight last week against Miami, right? That game was physical. It came down to the wire. Now they got to turn around and play against another physical Steelers team. So I do think the Bills win. My least confident bet of the week, like I said, but I would lean Pittsburgh.
All right, so does the story tale end here for Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns as they head down to Houston to take on the Texans? We saw what they did just a couple of weeks ago in Houston, but that was a Houston team without C.J. Stroud, PJ.
Guys, there's no way I'm betting against Joe Flacco. Not in the wild card round. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. Flacco, as we know, it's been unbelievable. Like you said, Danger. I mean, the magic. That's what it's been the last 3 or 4 weeks. And Flacco, if there's one thing I know about him, the guy is just a gamer in playoff time. There's a reason we call him January Joe. He's something else. These two teams, like you said, they did play about 3 weeks ago. Stroud wasn't there. So I kind of like the over in the game, guys. It feels a little low to me. I think there could be some points there. I target some David Njoku props. 3 of the last 4 games, he's gone over 90 receiving yards. The one game he did not do that was against Houston, but that's because Amari Cooper went for 265. So I think Houston tries to take him away. That's going to open some things up for Njoku, so I would look at his props. I do like Cleveland to win the game. I just take them on the money line, but it should be close. I think Houston in a teaser is a good look as well this week.
Yeah, so that leads us to Saturday night, and the Chiefs rested some of their key people. The Dolphins were fighting tooth and nail to win the AFC East, did not go their way, and we're talking dangerous conditions here, PJ, and the ticket market has crashed for this game. You can get tickets for lower than, just like a preseason game here. I saw it down to $38 now. So Dolphins and Chiefs, though, from a betting standpoint, Miami, the 4.5. Can the Dolphins keep this close?
You know, originally, Gene, I didn't think so, especially when the line was at 3.5. But, man, now we're getting 4.5, guys. I think there's some 5 starting to pop up. Like, maybe Miami can hang around and keep it close. I mean, the stats that they've been throwing around all week are since January of 2017, Miami's 1-17 straight up in games that are 49 degrees or below. And this game, guys, as we know, is going to be like negative temperature. Tua is not used to this stuff. The Dolphins have struggled against good teams all year. The play that I like is the under. The weather is a big reason, But also think about the Dolphins this year. Think about their offenses when they've gone up against good teams. As you guys know, they scored 20 and 14 against Buffalo in their 2 meetings. They scored 19 against the Ravens, 14 against the Chiefs in Germany, 17 against the Eagles earlier in the year. We think Miami, we think about this great offense. It hasn't been that way when they go up against good teams. Then on the other side, we got the Chiefs and their receivers who have the most drop passes in the NFL this year. Now we're throwing them in freezing temperature. I think the under is the way to go. So that's my play in that game.
PJ, a little bit more on that game. Just because the Dolphins side of the ball here, if you have Waddle, if you have Mostert, it's not the same offense that we saw just a week ago against Buffalo. Does that sway you in any way? Do you like any of the offensive props there for Miami? If this game does get, I like the under as well, but if you do see some points here between these two teams, any of those turning your head?
Yeah, Danger. The one guy I would target in this game is A-Chain because, to your point, no Mostert, no Waddle. Obviously, Hill going up against his former team. If you're Mike McDaniel, you got to be careful with Tua because he just hasn't been great as of late, hasn't been good against good teams, as I highlighted. But A-Chain's that big – he's the speedster that can change a game, that can flip it on its head. And in cold temperature like that, you're going to want to run the ball to begin with. So – A-Chain is the guy that I would look at. I think he is going to be the focal point for the Dolphins this week. If they have any chance of upsetting Kansas City or covering that spread or keep it close, I think he's going to have a big game. So without Mostert, without Waddle, Hill's banged up, Tua's banged up, A-Chain is the guy, I think. If I'm betting Miami, he's the one I would target.
I think something important to point out, it's obvious, but like here in Western New York, PJ, you're going to have a frozen field, right? And you're going to have wind. Stadium at Arrowhead, they've got the heated coils. If you're watching this on television, the field itself is actually going to be okay. The footing should be just fine.
It's a good point, Gene. Yeah, it's a good point. Kansas City's used to this stuff. Mahomes is really good in cold weather. I mean, there'll be offensive linemen, as we know, defensive linemen. They'll be wearing short sleeves. So it's a mentality thing. Those guys wouldn't be affected by it, especially on the KC side. I do think from Miami, though, they're going to feel the...
Would be the first to admit and brace themselves for some sort of a letdown. Letdown could be coming. They know that at some point they're going to be disappointed. This team always seems to do it. Is it against the Green Bay Packers at home on Sunday afternoon?
I actually think it is, Danger. This is my big upset of the week. I like Green Bay. Early on, I was going back and forth between this game, but as we get closer and closer to kickoff, I really do think Green Bay has a great chance of winning this game. And the reason being, we all know Dallas has been awesome at home all season, right? They've been great. Their last home game we saw them was against Detroit, and that was really the closest thing we got to a playoff game, right? Both teams were competing for the 2 seed, maybe an outside shot at the 1 seed. Dallas was trying to win the division, all these different things, so much on the line, and Dallas should have lost that game. And we just go into this game with all the pressure on Dallas. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Green Bay. Love's been awesome here the last 3 weeks for the Packers. Dallas's defense is hit or miss, and it's, McCarthy in the playoffs, and do you trust the Cowboys in a big spot? Not only that, think about the Packers, guys. Throughout the season, touchdown home dogs to Kansas City. They beat them at Lambeau. On Thanksgiving Day against Detroit, they beat them outright. We've seen the Packers in this spot, and they have delivered before. I think they can do it again. So I like the Packers a lot, +7. We know Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys are going to be in every money line parlay this week. One of those underdogs is going to give somebody a game. I think the Packers have a good shot. So give me Green Bay plus the points. Sprinkle some money line too.
All right, so it's a non-betting question. I would just want your take here, PJ, because if that happens, does Jerry blow out McCarthy and clear the deck here from Belichick?
He does. And that's a big reason why I kind of think it's going to happen, Gene, because I just think maybe we're going to get Belichick in Dallas, which is going to be insane. But I don't know about you guys. I think McCarthy's almost got to win 2 games, especially with Belichick available. I don't think Harbaugh would take the job, but he certainly would be at the top of the list, I'm sure. At this point, we know McCarthy can win in the regular season. We know Dallas can win in the regular season. It's the postseason, and you're heavy favorites against Green Bay. Likely you're getting Philadelphia, maybe Detroit. next week, or Tampa Bay possibly at home, you're going to be favorites in that game. I think McCarthy's got to win both games, both home games, to secure his spot. So whether it's this week or it's next week, if they don't make it to the NFC title game, I do think Belichick's going to be the coach in Dallas.
PJ, the Detroit Lions have been waiting years to showcase their new, not even new anymore, new stadium on a bigger national stage with playoff football. The Lions are hosting a playoff game at Ford Field, and I just think it's terrible that the team that's going to be coming in is fronted by the guy that was their quarterback for all those years, a guy that kind of wanted out of Detroit, won a Super Bowl with the prettier girl, and now is coming back into Detroit. I don't want to see Detroit fans get their hearts ripped out. They deserve more than that, but I almost feel like this spot begs for the Rams to go in there and win based on how they've been playing recently as well. PJ, what are your thoughts on the Sunday Nighter?
Guys, my favorite bet of the week. This is the game I'm most excited to watch. Love the Rams +3. Love the Rams outright. Everything you said, Danger. They're the team right now. It's the Bills in the AFC, and it's the Rams in the NFC. It's the teams you don't want to see. They're getting hot at the right time. The way that I look at this game, I think both offenses are comparable. We know Detroit can score. We know the Rams can score. We know all the weapons on both sides. We know the play calling with McVay and Ben Johnson are both elite. I think defensively, I much more have confidence in the Rams. And obviously a quarterback like Jared Goff, who is not the most mobile, what is the thing that would frustrate him the most? That's pressure up the middle. The Rams have Aaron Donald. The Lions' pass defense, as we know, very suspect, very gettable. And then from a head coaching perspective, I think the Rams have a huge advantage in this game. I like Dan Campbell a lot. McVay's coached in 2 Super Bowls. He's won one with Stafford. They know what it takes this time of year. And we just saw some of it in that Cowboys game again, going back to that. Like, Dan Campbell, is he going to be ready for these big moments? Like, does his aggression just almost hurt him too much? Like, we all love his win mentality and how he's always all in and he's aggressive. But like you said, Danger, Detroit fans have been waiting for this so long. It just feels like the Rams are going to be a little more composed. They're a little more ready for this moment, where I think the over-aggression of Detroit could hurt them a little bit in this game. I can't wait to watch it. I hope it's the 38-35 shootout that we're all hoping it's going to be. But I like the Rams +3, and I like them to win the game.
Yeah, PJ Glasser, one game, the last one being Monday night, and look, if it weren't for a Christmas night win over the Giants, the Eagles would have a 6-game losing streak entering this game. So Philadelphia falling apart here. But do they find something here late? It's not like the Buccaneers are this world-beating team here. Yes, they won the division. So how do you play Tampa Bay giving up 3 points here?
I like the over, Gene. That's the play that I like the most, is the over 43.5. I think 24-21, something like that, is more than reasonable, and that would get us an over in this game. Philadelphia's pass defense, their defensive line early in the year was great, and it kind of took away from, it kind of masked how bad their secondary was. And now that the D-line isn't performing like it was earlier in the year, we're really starting to see how bad that secondary is. So I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to score some points in this game. I think the Eagles are going to be able to score some points as well. So I do like the over. As for the side, Gene, I lean towards the Eagles. It's not one of my favorite plays of the week. I do think we're going to get a good opportunity to fade Philadelphia most likely this week or next week. I just don't think this week is the right spot to do that. So I like the over for sure, and I would lean towards Philadelphia in the game, but certainly a team I'm not looking to invest in long term.
All right, PJ, you've got a week worth of Send It In shows in your rear view mirror, but we know that there's no stopping your game. You're hustling all the time. Are you doing a weekend show that we can check out on the BetQL network?
Yeah, guys, we'll be still at the sports book at MGM National Harbor, just outside Washington, D.C., inside the betting lines with myself and JP Flame. So you can watch us on twitch.tv/BetQL, YouTube /Odyssey Sports. We'll be there from 1 to 5, and we'll be live reacting to your guys' game, Bills and Steelers, and then a little bit of Packers and Cowboys as well. am I going to be seeing you guys next week? Like, is there any fear that the station's going to blow away with the winds or anything like that? Like, are we going to be good, guys? Like, I want to make sure.
It drives me crazy because we're so equipped for what they're projecting to happen, yet we treat it like it's going to be the apocalypse. It's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. I want everybody to be safe. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but it just drives me nuts. It makes it look like what you're saying. Like, it drives me crazy because everybody thinks, oh my God, what's going on in Western New York? Like, well, we'll be okay. We'll be fine.
There you go. Are you guys going to the game?
Yeah. We're gonna be in the comfy press box there.
Gino's
PJ.
bringing his shovel to the game.
Yeah, I'm bringing my shovel. I should tweet you. I'll send you a picture of what my car looked like after that Bills Colts game a few years ago. It was like buried. Yeah, I'm like, oh, fantastic. So just bracing for all conditions here.
Love that. Well, you guys enjoy. You know, as a Ravens fan, there are two teams I root for every week, the Ravens and whoever plays the Steelers. So let's go Bills, fellas. Let's go Bills.
You got it, PJ. Take care, buddy. PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetQL Network. You can find that inside the Odyssey app. You can find it on YouTube and on Twitch as well. PJ does a great job, and our insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
So this doesn't line up like it did last time, meaning the Bills have had a game moved before. I mean, it was just one season ago, the 2022 season, right before Thanksgiving, that Browns game got moved. It was on Thursday night of that week. It got moved. So it was going to be a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff. They made a determination on Thursday night, but I think the storm had already begun at that point. So a little bit of different circumstances here. But again, state of emergency declared for the Buffalo region. And I don't know. The NFL isn't saying anything at this point.
They won't say anything unless they absolutely positively have to. Everything will be full steam ahead.
What would be the harm of having a doubleheader on Monday morning of the game? But
you have a Sabre. I mean, everybody's going to be at the Sabres game, aren't? No, never mind. Sabres are playing on Martin Luther. No, it doesn't really matter, does it? What would be the harm? I don't know. I mean, is it going to be that much better on Monday?
Well, that's the thing. This is like going to go through Monday morning. So,
well, how much better is it going to be? I mean, you might be playing in more snow. The longer you prolong it, the more snow you might have to dig out from under. And then we get the call, hey, we're looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
Come shovel out the stadium.
Well, the NFL requires visiting teams to be in 24 hours prior. So Saturday morning, I would figure, so what? We're what? 18 hours away, I would think, from them determining, hey, we got to move the game here. Like, we don't want the Steelers coming to town.
Could be a mess. Could be an absolute mess. I mean, the good news for the Steelers is it's not like an inconvenient trip. It's relatively close when you consider how far some of these teams have to travel for their matchups.
If you're wondering, no, they do not bus. Even though it's like a 3-hour ride.
I would love that, though. I would love it if they decided, no, not safe to fly. Let's get on the Steelers charter bus, like a scene from Major League. They show up to the Bills. They show up to Highmark Stadium. There's no hot water.
Kenny Pickett, come back here. I know it's your turn in the rotation, but we're going to give Mason the start today. He's got a little bit better record. Don't read anything into this. You're one of the guys who got us here. I know every line in that movie.
We've watched that one a few times. All right, we're going to get to some takes next in the sports bar with I'll Drink to That.
Yeah, as I have a take here on, the We Need a Dome crowd is rearing its head here, and that's okay. I got thoughts on that here once and for all. Also, there should be another team that should consider moving on from their coach. I'm talking about a team that missed the postseason. And if this job became available, I would say this would be the job that Belichick would go to. I'll tell you why this team should make this move.
We've got a little bit more on that Lions-Rams matchup and what my expectation is from Lions fan come Sunday night. And a way to set a tone when you're in the arcade. I'm celebrating my nephew Vincent's birthday this weekend. He's got the Pop-A-Shot down in the basement. And don't think I'm not ready to set a tone and absolutely obliterate him at basketball at the Pop-A-Shot there. Well, I'll tell you what my strategy is. We'll get to that and more next with my non-sports take. More takes on tap next in the Sports Bar.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills Friday injury report. Gabe Davis and Taylor Rapp are both out against the Steelers. Listed as questionable. Rasul Douglas and Tyrell Dodson. Terrell Bernard has the proper mindset.
We know who we are. We know who we need to be. And, I think if that team shows up, I feel like we could play with anybody, especially on defense, being fast, physical, affecting the quarterback, stopping the run, and taking the ball away. Those are a few things that we talk about, and a few things that, we live by. And we understand if we're able to do those things, it'll help us win games.
The big concern here, the weather. Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency that's going to run through the weekend. Our coverage Sunday will begin at 9 a.m. here on the Sports Leader. Hammers hockey tonight, the team in Charlotte. The outdoor game tomorrow night. Gerard Mayo is the new head coach of the New England Patriots. Alabama is hiring Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It's Football Friday.
Super wild card weekend.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Bills, Steelers, 1 o'clock live Sunday right here.
Right here, right now.
Guys, light me on fire and throw me through a table. Look where we are. Wild card weekend, and the Bills are a 10-point favorite against the Steelers. Amazing. How'd this happen?
Here we are. We are.
I hope it's bad weather because I think that's more fitting for Pittsburgh than it would be for Buffalo.
Yeah.
If something happens and the Bills lose,
Don't do that.
Mike Danger.
I think Pittsburgh will show up. These teams are very similar. The Bills have been pretty inconsistent in those wins. I have the Bills winning 21-17, but nothing's comfortable with this team.
Happy birthday.
Gene Battaglia.
I'm with you on this. I think the Bills win. Hard for me to lay points in this game. Really hard for me to lay points.
Yeah.
The Patriots are sticking to the apparent plan, promoting Gerard Mayo to replace Bill Belichick.
Sabres with a victory by a score of 5-3.
Hammers hockey.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
We'll check in with the latest from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brooke Pryor covers the team for ESPN's NFL Nation. She's going to stop by the Sports Bar in about 20 minutes or so. We'll keep you updated as well on Sunday's game.
I bet she's getting a lot of questions too. Hey, what's going on with the game? What's the status? Well, she's a little more dialed in than we are with the direct line to ESPN. I'm sure ESPN is hoping the game would go off as normal because, well, if you move the game and you can move the time, I would think Monday night would be the most logical place that you could move it to, which would put it head-to-head against ESPN and the Eagles and Buccaneers matchup. That's something. We appreciate all of our advertisers, by the way, including our friend Havana Mo, who he wants to mention that he's got pizza at halftime for
Love
everybody.
Mo.
Yeah,
Mo's
Mo's
the best. Legend. Absolute legend. A Spartan in our community.
It's like you're going back in time there. We just walk in and you're smoking and you're like everything.
Light up a cigar, get a nice glass of bourbon or scotch. No, just absolute chill. Just no anxiety in that place whatsoever. It's just chill. Mo's got the joint. That place is awesome.
Yeah, and he's talking about lines and props and everything else that make your head spin.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Thanks for your support, Mo.
So what has he got? He's got pizza
at halftime, and
for
then
the Bills game.
Yeah, then he gives away drinks when the Bills score a touchdown.
Come me in.
Yeah.
Come me in. I'll find my way to work my way down there to East Avenue. That's awesome. Love Mo. Appreciate you supporting the Sports Bar, Mo. We'll always have your back as well. Let's get to some takes in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, is great. It's the recycled take here. You should have built a dome, crowd in Buffalo. Look, money aside, and you can't pretend it's like not an issue, okay? Because it is. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about the comfort of watching the game, playing the game, the quality of play in the game? Or are we talking about public safety? Okay, that's the issue here, folks. Let's talk about public safety. We don't talk enough about the location of the stadium here, Danger. Orchard Park is in that snow band, Southtowns to Erie, PA. Downtown Buffalo should have been the location. Spark a little activity there. Plus, you get less chance of heavy snow, although in current format, it looks like Buffalo is going to get this too. The location of the new stadium isn't because, well, that's what you, the fans, wanted. No, it was because that was the prudent move. But
Cheaper.
It does, like this week. It does this week. It comes at the cost of public safety.
Let's have more public safety conversations.
Oh, who cares?
It's football. This is where we go to football to not worry about public safety conversations, all that. I know you have to think about that, and I don't want anybody to get into any kind of trouble or get hurt, or God forbid the worst case scenario happens. But we have so much. The government has so much control over what we can and can't do, and everything is legislated. And I like personal accountability. Like, if you don't feel safe, don't go out.
No. If the throughway is closed, then there's no game. So that's kind of like that should be that's the barometer here. That's what we're talking about here. Will you be closing the throughway? And now I remember the timeline of this because my daughter was coming back from Fredonia, and it was on a Thursday, and she just beat it, and the snowstorm hit on a Friday, and the throughway was closed. Because the throughway was closed, that's why they moved the game, Bills-Browns, from Buffalo to Detroit. Throughway closed, no game. That has nothing to do with government or whatever political
somebody's
angle.
making the call to close the throughway.
If you can't, right, but that's logic. You can't get through, then
you can. You just have to go back roads, and if you really want to find a way, you could get there. You don't need to take the throughway. You could, be a little bit more risky getting off the throughway.
No.
I don't like it, Gene. I want a game. I don't
it's your
care
birthday. You get whatever you want on your birthday, right?
I don't care about the storm. I'm excited to see on Sunday night how Detroit fans react to the return of Matt Stafford in the Lions' first postseason game there at Ford Field. This is going to be a barometer for me in how I view Lions faithful. I'll be sorely disappointed, Gino, if there's any sort of tribute video or anything actually short of a steady rain of boos. Let's not forget, Stafford wanted out of Detroit. He won the Super Bowl with the prettier girl. Give him his thank yous as he's leaving, but then it ends there. If I'm a Lions fan, I'm pulling out every insult I can. I'm doing everything in my power to rattle him. And I say all of this because it still may not be enough. The Rams are coming in hot. Stafford is the better QB. And I hate that the Lions fan who's suffered for this long is going to have their heart ripped out by their former quarterback. But that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I'm with PJ. Rams +3 on Sunday night.
Yeah, one of the things I'm not looking forward to, and it's very predictable. Sure, I think Detroit fans may boo, but it's not going to be anything. But there'll be one or two knuckleheads. And the most annoying spouse in football award to me goes to Kelly Stafford, because I'm sure she's going to highlight whatever person that says something mean to her, whatever it is. I mean, she's right up there with Brenda Warner as far as, overexposed.
The Bills have one on their team.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
They have one, at least one on their team that's like, okay, log off.
I'm talking about Jordan Poyer's wife, right?
Just log off.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're okay. You can log off. We'll be fine. Steady course of boos. That's what I expect out of Lions fans. Anything less than that will make me disappointed, and honestly, they'll get what they deserve. But I don't like that. I'm predicting that the Lions fans will have their hearts ripped out by the guy that was there for as many years as he was in Matt Stafford.
Dan Dugan, The Athletic, offers some insight into the breakup between Giants head coach Brian Daboll and there's a defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. It paints Daboll having an anger management issue.
Oh, you think?
On game day, he's a madman to the point where you got to take your headsets off or take one ear off. One individual adding that Martindale didn't like and couldn't stand Daboll's stares and how he kind of just looks at you when upset during games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Giant fans. Belichick is available. Belichick is your guy. If you're my age, you give him the credit, not Parcells for Super Bowl 25. He would come back to Big Blue in a heartbeat. Now, it would be so unlike Big Blue to make a move like this, but does anyone see Brian Daboll working out there long term?
I don't, but it's not going to happen because Daboll and Shane are the McDermott and Bean of the NFC East. They're married. And if one fails, they both fail. I don't think Joe Shane gets another crack at head coach.
And the ownership is not going to say, do this.
Right. Everything that I'm hearing that you just said puts a smile on my face. It's like, yeah, Daboll just doesn't know how to keep his emotions in check. He's the old school, I'm going to intimidate you through, being more loud, being more aggressive. The the steely stare when you do something wrong. We all know that move.
What happened after 13 seconds in that locker room?
Oh, God. I don't even want to think about it.
Well, there's been a lot of chatter that, Dable was going off.
Had to have been going off. Had to have been going absolutely bananas. His offense did everything you needed him to do and more. We haven't seen anything like that in the NFL ever. That was remarkable. That game was remarkable. That offense, both offenses, completely unstoppable. Yeah, Daboll was probably a little bit aggressive.
He was probably over the. I can't get over the fact that the post-game handshake, McDermott and Dable.
No,
very clear the two men don't like each other.
Yeah, no, it was not. That was not a friendly parting of ways when Daboll left with Joe Schoen. But one's in the postseason and one is looking for a new defensive coordinator. And everything that you're talking about there, none of that surprises me. That feels like Brian Daboll, first-time head coach, not really presidential. I mean, we saw it with our own eyes. You don't see coaches undressing their starting quarterback the way Daboll did, the way Sean Payton did. I didn't like that. I mean, I kind of like seeing Russell Wilson getting chewed out, but at the same time, you're the head coach and that's your quarterback, man. You guys got to be aligned. You're not really giving off the impression, if you're staring down your defensive coordinator, that you guys are all on the same page. It screams of dysfunction. Busy weekend. Lots of football. Sunday, I'll also be celebrating my nephew Vinny's birthday. And during breaks in the Bills game, I know that we'll be over there popping over to the arcade basketball pop shot that he's got in the basement. It's a good stuff. It's good rivalry that we've got going here. Runs deep. And I can tell you right now, Sunday's my day, Gino. Sunday's my day, and here's how you set a tone. If you're at the arcade, you're up against it, you need some extra juice to get over on your preteen opponent. I've got a Jordan montage, a motivational montage queued up on YouTube, ready to go. MJ in my head, MJ in my ear as I'm draining buckets, making it rain in Vinny's basement, making it rain at Adventure Landing, wherever the setting is. Need that extra push to get the W. It's a strong play.
It's all in the wrist, dude. With the with the Papa shot game there.
Well, I'm not going to get that from Jordan in my ear. Jordan's not going to tell me. He's going to tell me you just need one more rep, just one more. Keep going, keep going, keep fighting. He's not going to tell me anything about my form. It's going to be all about determination.
Okay, this is a good kind of topic here because at what age? Because when Vinny is 6 or 7. Uncle Chris is not burying him in any game. You're letting the kid win, right? Or you're just having some fun.
No. What do you mean let him win? You think let him win? That's never an option. Let him win.
No. Come on. When he's 5, 6, 7.
Stay down.
12 is what age?
Vinny's turning 11, so he's competitive. He wants to win, and he's always... My girls were that way. We play board games all the time. As long as I can remember the board games. You guys try to cheat, I'm going to call you out. We're going to follow the rules. Daddy's in it to win it. Oh, you're going to lose? Stay down. That's right. I'm the champ. That's how we roll in my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let them win? Let them win?
When they're kids, yeah.
Let them win.
Most people would let their kids win.
Stop it. What kind of a... That's not how you set a tone.
They're kids, dude.
That's not how you set a tone, Gene.
They're kids.
All right. Listen. If everybody wants to complain about a generation of snowflakes, Gene Battaglia is the cloud of which those snowflakes were born. Not me, my friend. I'm setting a tone. We're gonna compete. I'm in it to win it.
New forecast here: 1 to 3 feet if possible. Saturday morning to Monday evening.
Pretty wide range there.
Yeah, 1 foot over 48 hours. There's a game. 3 feet.
So the snow is starting Saturday morning, Sunday morning?
Saturday night.
Saturday night the snow starts.
No, correction, Saturday morning.
So Saturday morning the snow starts. They'll have, if it goes the way a lot of lake effects, and you can't really predict it, it will, you could have 8 feet of snow depending on where the band decides it wants to hang out. But if it's starting Saturday morning by kickoff on Sunday, what are we talking about? 2 feet of snow? Potentially?
Yeah, right.
Right? I mean, you just kind of project it out. It's going to be an uncomfortable amount of snow.
Is this how the season's going to end? You and I both picked the Bills. I have the Bills winning this 13-9.
Oh,
I just say
field goal fest. How you kicking field goals if there's a foot of snow?
No. Miss PAT fest, dude. Yeah, that's where and I just say 9 for
Sports bar karma.
That's it.
9 times.
That's right.
But if it's that close and there's a special teams play, this ride is going to end in a snowstorm.
I honestly don't believe, and I always feel like when we talk about weather games, that the weather, it gets blown out of proportion, and then by the time the game comes, it's a factor, but it's not the factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was definitely a factor in that Colts game. You couldn't really do anything in that Colts game.
For the record, that snuck up on everybody. No one was saying that was coming, and then all of a sudden, oh, bam, here it is. Typical Buffalo fashion. They've been right on these things the last few times, Danger. There have been, and we've kind of just gotten grazed here. Like Christmas Eve, that was terrible out there. Horrible. I don't think anybody's saying it's that level, but they were right. They said, so yes, your Count Heskos are very correct when it comes to this stuff.
Well, we will check in with Brooke Pryor, covering the Steelers for ESPN's NFL Nation, see if their side is hearing anything new in terms of what the plan might be here for this game going on as scheduled Sunday at 1 o'clock, or could something else be afoot, or maybe 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet of snow.
Mike Danger, be sure your station doesn't do weather. I should do weather every time. I am Count Esco. Be sure to watch 13 VAM News tonight. Al Hart giving me the whole half hour.
Where'd Gene go? He disappeared from the video stream. I don't know what happened just now. He's just completely... Oh, there he is. He's back. Okay. Whew, Count Hetzko just shows up. Gene disappears. It's like a phantom. It's the weirdest thing. Maybe he gets hit by lightning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Reemerges. Brooke Pryor, ESPN NFL Nation reporter for the Steelers. Going to be our guest next in the Sports Bar. Hang on.
You're listening to the
Sabres and Amherst. Follow the Fan Rochester in the Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills Friday injury report is out. Gabe Davis and Taylor Rapp both out for this game. Listed as questionable Rasul Douglas and Tyrell Dodson. As far as the Bills, Stephon Diggs is ready.
Trying to lead my team the right way and stack these wins. At this point, you're guaranteed one game at this point. The season has been the season. Going into the playoffs, I'm really just trying to stay in the right mind frame. Stay focused on the task at hand.
Weather continues to be the concern. Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency that's going to run through the weekend. Brooke Pryor, ESPN.com NFL Nation Steeler reporter, joining us next here in the Sports Bar. Amherst, 2 games in Charlotte tonight at 7 with Don Stevens, then the outdoor game tomorrow night. Gerard Mayo, the new head coach of the New England Patriots. Alabama is hiring Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer. Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Well, some of it is the footing. Outside is on the grass is tough with how wet it is and how some of the. I got to think first and foremost about protecting our players from injury based on where we'd be going to practice. So our groundskeepers do a heck of a job. It's not on them. It's just on this time of year, right? So it's different year to year, week to week, day to day. Today we'll go down to the stadium like we've done before, but if the conditions weren't safe for us to do that, then we would have stayed inside and done that route too. So either way, we figure it out.
There's a football game that's going to be played at some point between the Steelers and the Bills here, Super Wild Card Weekend. We go to Pittsburgh, and we check in with one of our favorites covering the team for ESPN's NFL Nation, Brooke Pryor, joining us in the Sports Bar. Brooke, it's kind of overwhelmed our conversation about this game, and I'm sure in Pittsburgh it's a big topic of conversation as well. The weather. What are you hearing from your angle as far as what the Bills and the Steelers might be thinking here come Sunday at 1 o'clock if they indeed kick off at that time?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the sound about the practicing in the stadium, getting prepared for the elements, the surface, the wind, because that's exactly what the Steelers have been doing this week. They were in Acrisure twice, and then they practiced inside back at their facility today. But while Pittsburgh is not Buffalo weather, someone that was standing on the sideline in Acrisure watching practice, it was cold. The ground, they moved practice over there because, as Mike Tomlin said, they had the heating elements in the ground in Pittsburgh, which is similar to the elements in the ground at Highmark, although obviously here it's turf, Pittsburgh. I mean, they've been preparing as best you can, but I don't know how you prepare for, a snow game when the range is anywhere from a couple inches to feet falling during the game.
Yeah, Brooke, this is benefit to the Steelers, right? If the Steelers are looking to kind of win an ugly game as they've won a bunch of them, this could be the great equalizer. Would you agree on that?
I would think so. I mean, especially the way that the Steelers have been running recently. Exact numbers are, but Najee Harris has been much better in December and January than he's been at any other point in his career. And that's kind of been a year-to-year thing. It's been much more effective at the end of seasons. And I think if you're a Steelers, the thing really good about is the fact that Najee Harris is doing this right now at this point in the season with the fewest carries had in an NFL season because of the emergence of Jalen Warren. They've really been backing the two of them out. And so it's fresh in January, which is a crazy sentence to say. And Eddie Faulkner, the offensive coordinator this week, told me, this is why we drafted him. This is why we wanted this guy, because he's built for this situation, this weather. So I do think that would an equalizer. Do I think that makes the Steelers favorites? Not quite so much. They're still playing without T.J. Watt, but offensively, I think that it helps that it seems like it could be more of a ground game on Sunday.
Now, a lot is being made of that kind of emergence of the Steelers run game, but not a lot is being said about their opponents in those games where the run game looked good. You played Seattle, who allowed the most rushing yards to running back since week 9, the Bengals, who've struggled against the run, and you played the backups of the Baltimore Ravens just last week. Is it the run game of the Steelers improving, or is it the benefit of an inferior opponent on the other side of the ball?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think it's completely fool's gold, but it might not be 14-karat solid gold. But I do think that the Steelers have something going with the way their offensive line has been playing much better recently. You're right. The defensive opponents that they've faced have not been the best of the best, but the schemes that they're using, the way that they're running, the direction that they're running, I think shows that this group has at least improved since early in. And we got to mention Mason Rudolph, which is a wild sentence to say that I'm having to say, gosh, we really need to remember that Mason Rudolph in the playoffs or heading to the playoffs is a reason why the Steelers are here and a reason why this run game is better, but because he's really opened up the game. He's given them a vertical threat that before defenses were packing the box and the Steelers couldn't move. Now they're having to respect that deep threat, and when they are packing the box, the Steelers have still been able to run the ball.
We're talking to Brooke Pryor, covers the Pittsburgh Steelers for ESPN, NFL Nation. So, yeah, I would think most people would say, Mason Rudolph, no surprise that he got the nod. So where do things stand with Kenny Pickett, and why is he still listed as the first-string quarterback? I mean, will we have an open competition, or has the ship sailed here with Kenny Pickett?
Well, for one thing, there was a very intrepid reporter. It wasn't me, but someone did ask Mike Tomlin why Kenny Pickett was still listed at number 1 in the depth chart, and he very much dismissed that question. Mike Tomlin doesn't concern himself with depth charts. They're, a requirement, I believe, by the NFL to at least have one. They don't say it has to be accurate. So I think, to me, though, it is somewhat symbolic that I think Kenny Pickett is still this team's starting quarterback next year. And that's because they have to hire an offensive coordinator who's going to come in with his own system, revamp things. And I think they still want to give Pickett a shot to prove that he can be the first-round pick that they thought he would be when they drafted him. I think that means that they don't add to the room. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they draft a quarterback in the second round. Mason Rudolph is an interesting situation because he's not under contract going into next season. Could maybe get some money outside of Pittsburgh. If I'm Mason Rudolph and another team's offering me more money, I would very much consider that. But I do think that Mason Rudolph, the biggest kind of thing that I can draw from this situation is that Mason Rudolph has extended his NFL career, whether in Pittsburgh or elsewhere, just by the way he's played last month.
All right, so Brooke, he's played well the last month, but what took them so long? I mean, why was he buried on this depth chart and those games that Trubisky was starting in place of Pickett? I mean, imagine if you had Rudolph playing the way he's playing now. You're talking about a Steelers team that's competing with Baltimore for the division and not scraping in as the 7th seed.
I mean, you're right. However, who has been at every practice, at training camp. I've seen Mason Rudolph over the years. I've seen Mason Rudolph this year. He hasn't looked the way he's looking on the field in practice. He's thrown a lot of picks. He hasn't looked, as confident as he's looked in the last couple games. So I think that it's very much a revisionist history, and hindsight's 20/20. I think the Steelers took a chance when they decided to put Mason Rudolph in, and Mitch Trubisky was very disappointing when he came in. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this quarterback situation is just what frustrating it must be to look at Trubisky not up to the standard that they thought he would. And this is Mason Rudolph and exceeding expectations and exceeding what he's shown in practice. And I think also the reason he's doing really well in these games is that he's overcome a lot of adversity, going back to when he was drafted in 2018 and Ben Roethlisberger saying, well, I don't need to teach him. If he has the question, maybe I'll just throw the playbook at him. And then 19, we obviously know everything that happened. He starts for an injured Ben Roethlisberger, ends up getting hit in the head with his own helmet by Myles Garrett or having it swung at him, gets benched, gets hurt. He's just, I think, able to play right now when these situations are so hectic and high pressured because he's already ridden that roller coaster of chaos. And I mean, he told me earlier this week, it's almost like every game he's played in has been a playoff game, but for him personally and his own career personally.
Brooke, we kind of chuckled at Sean McDermott this week. He's bringing up the preseason game and talking about the Steelers' physicality and looking, he's got a point there, I guess, when it comes to the physicality. And I would guess that would be my question here. Like, it's funny that it would source the preseason game, but who's the more physical team, would you say?
Gosh, that's so hard to say. I think that they're both very physical teams. I see the Steelers most often, and so I think that my answer is going to be based off of what I've watched more of, and that would be the Steelers, because they play with this mean streak. They always have. That's been a hallmark of Mike Tomlin's teams, but I don't think that the Bills are far off. I mean, it's actually been kind of funny this week when we were talking to Najee Harris saying, Mike Tomlin has said that playing AFC North opponents, a benefit to the Steelers is this familiarity with AFC North opponents, and they just tend to perform much better against those teams. And then we said, does it kind of feel like the Bills are similar to that because you've played them so often in the regular season, you've seen them in the preseason, there's more familiarity? And he said, yeah, that's a great point. Mike Tomlin brought that up this week, that there are some tendencies and things that we think we can exploit with the Bills because we've seen them so often.
Brooke, speaking of Tomlin, and we have plenty of Pittsburgh Steeler fans that listen to our show. I'm friends with a lot of Steeler fans, and boy, a lot of them just not Tomlin people, just over Tomlin, consistently plays up or down to the level of his competition, doesn't always come into games prepared. Lots of criticisms, even though he's got this sterling record of never having a losing season, even though he's gotten his team to the postseason all these years. Like there's a lot of worse options out there than Mike Tomlin. I guess I'm asking the question, if the Steelers lose to Buffalo, and it's an embarrassing way or just any sort of loss, does anything change with the Steelers coaching staff, specifically with Mike Tomlin to start?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously there's going to be a change on the offensive side of the ball, and that could lead to change with, Eddie Faulkner or Mike Sullivan, the running backs coach and the quarterbacks coach. But I do know that Mike Tomlin really likes those two, really like Pat Meyer. Defensive staff, I think they feel really solid about. But like you said, starting with Mike Tomlin, I don't expect that no matter the outcome on Sunday that there would be a change to his status as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that there was a time earlier this season that it felt the most unstable that it has in a while because of that 3-game losing streak, because of the George Pickens drama going on with the lack of effort, and can Mike Tomlin still get through to this team? But I look at the way that they rebounded from that, and I think that it shows that he is so good at getting more out of less, and that's why he's the right guy to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Bills, by the way, just tweeted out, Brooke, we need snow shovelers.
Here we go.
Here we go. Yep, we're on notice here. Brooke Pryor, NFL. By the way, Brooke, I bring a shovel to every game. So, you have my phone. If you get stuck, as a lot of people do, we're here for you, making the way up. You were there 3 years ago, I recall, for the opener, and Steelers won that game. And a couple things, reasons why I think the Steelers won that game. Special teams touchdown. If the Steelers get one of those, that'll go a long, long way. But I just remember T.J. Watt going wild that week, and it was right after he signed his contract, and he was a big, big difference. A big question, how do the Steelers go about replacing the production of T.J. Watt this week?
Well, I think they say a prayer, probably several prayers, maybe get a rosary out, like some votives. But this team is really confident in Marcus Golden and Nick Herbig, and I think that you never want to be without a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but if they had to pick a year to be without him or a situation to be without him, it's other than being a playoff game, which obviously makes it really bad. They have the depth at the position that they haven't had in several years, ever since really that they let Bud Dupree walk in free agency. They just have never been able to get a solid third, fourth outside linebacker to rotate in with T.J. Watt. And now they have Alex Highsmith, who has had a really under-the-radar season. He doesn't have the stats, but he's been really, really solid. And then they've got Marcus Golden, they've got Nick Herbig. Marcus Golden is a vet. Nick Herbig is a rookie who's really come on strong lately. I think Marcus Golden has 4 sacks this season, Nick Herbig 3. They each have a fumble recovery. Nick Herbig has a forced fumble. And I think that they're guys that this team feels confident in. And, I mean, Landon Roberts told me this week, nobody in the locker room is blinking because we don't have T.J. Watt, because we're asking Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden to come in here and play for him. But I do think that you wish you had T.J. Watt. You'd most certainly prefer to play with him. But I think that this is different versus like last season when T.J. missed half the year with the pec injury and they were rotating in. I think Malik Reed, I can't remember who else was back there, but that should show you that they really didn't have any depth at that position. I think that they have quality depth this year, and that's a big boost.
Brooke, T.J. Watt is the big injury, but nobody's 100% this time of year. Minka Fitzpatrick coming back. Najee Harris missed some time earlier this week in practice. Talk to us just overall about the health of this Steelers team coming into Orchard Park on Sunday.
I mean, it is kind of crazy. This is the healthiest I think that this team has been in a while. Najee Harris has been battling with this knee injury, but when he's talked to us, he's very much downplayed it. And if he is dealing with something in the knee, which he obviously must be if it's on the injury report, he's still having his best games of the season, so that's not an issue. Minka Fitzpatrick is playing for the first time since hurting his knee in Week 15. He had a hamstring injury earlier in the year, also broke his hand earlier in the year, but having him back in the secondary is huge. And they also get back Devontae Kazee, who was suspended for the last 3 games after that hit on Michael Pittman in the Colts game. So this is a Steelers team that actually, other than T.J. Watt, which is a pretty big other, is pretty healthy going into this one.
Yeah, Brooke Pryor, tell us what we can kind of read and get ready for here as far as Bills Steelers on Sunday. For now, it's Sunday.
Yeah, it's all of my coverage is on ESPN.com. I've got a story up right now about how Mike Tomlin's motto this late season stretch of scared money don't make money has helped the Steelers bet on themselves and get their way to the playoffs. So that is up online, and then you can also watch ESPN for all our coverage. I'm actually at Orchard Park right now about to tape some hits before the snow comes in. So if you see me on TV and you're like, wow, the weather there doesn't look that bad, because Friday night, because I did not want to have to make this drive down twice.
See, that's smart. That's a veteran move by Brooke Pryor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on.
I try.
You've done this before. Brooke, appreciate the time. Great work covering the Steelers. We look forward to talking again real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
You got it.
Thanks,
there she is, Brooke Pryor, covering the Steelers for ESPN's NFL Nation in Orchard Park already.
Wait a second. They tape things and replay them later on TV?
Are you kidding me? Not everything is live. I mean, just for the sake of good TV, you do want your reporter out there, like Jim Cantor style, just like getting doused by snow, lake effect snow, just being dumped on the person while you're filming your hit. That would be the way to go. But, for Brooke, let's get her out there now, and it'll probably look nice on TV instead of the feet of snow that are expected to fall here come Sunday.
Okay, this is the biggest clue we have to date, Danger, that they're going to try to gut this out. So the Bills just putting this out, and this is nothing new, but the Bills are asking anyone age 18 and over, or if you're under 18 with proper working papers, interested in shoveling snow inside the stadium to come to Highmark starting at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. That would be Saturday night. And be part of the team, blah, blah, blah. Shovelers can shovel snow, as opposed to what? Through the night on Saturday into Sunday morning if needed. The pay rate is $20 per hour. Complimentary food and breaks will be provided throughout the shifts and in a comfortable, warm area.
$20 an hour.
Dude, I do a lot of things for money, so
you don't say no.
Hey, Julie, I'm gonna go shovel some snow.
At some point, the executive producer is going to be like, "Why do you hate me? Why do you hate? You'd rather shovel snow for $20 an hour than spend the Saturday night at home? What's wrong with you, man? It's fantastic." Look, I've been saying it all week. We're equipped. We're equipped for this. And if the Bills put out a call, you don't think the people are going to show up for $20 an hour to shovel? There will be enough people there. They will shovel and shovel and shovel. You'll get snowplow drivers. You'll get everybody in that area that needs to help chip in. Will chip in to make it as safe as they can possibly make it, as habitable as they can possibly make it for Sunday afternoon. I'm fairly certain of that.
Well, I think I'm going to state the obvious. If you're going on Sunday, go early. Yeah, double your triple your commute time. Yeah. I'm Lake Tom George here.
I've got friends that are going tomorrow. I've got friends that are making a weekend of it. Go tomorrow, stay overnight Saturday night. Limit that commute on Sunday as much as you can, and make a weekend of it. It's a long weekend for us. We many of us don't have to work on Monday. Now, Gino and I will be here on Monday. We'll have a reaction to the game, win or lose, obviously, and we'll have our regular sports bar show here following Sabres hockey on Monday. This is a Martin Luther King game, right? 1:00 game?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of holiday action. So that game will be on WCMF exclusively.
Okay.
The Amerks should play on MLK Day, too, but they're doing the outdoor game on Saturday. I wish that was on TV, too, but we'll see photos of that, certainly. Don Stevens will have the call tonight and tomorrow. Bills really want me because I just got the text, too. Snow shovelers needed.
Yeah, see? They're coming after you.
They are.
I mean, you could just use that as your excuse to the executive producer, sweetheart. I don't know what to tell you. The Bills are just
reaching. The Bills asking me.
Are literally asking me to chip in, and it's $20 an hour. Daddy's got to go to work. Sorry. Saturday night by yourself. Here's a box of Brose that Danger left me for. You enjoy that. I'm going to go shovel. Why do you hate me, Gene? Why? What did I do? Always working. Some other news and notes, headlines from today, Gino, that we should get to here before we get to happy hour and a couple few. And the big one here in the last couple of hours, Alabama has a new head coach.
Yeah, how about this? Kalen DeBoer, who was with Washington. That's a great hire going outside of the family. And for Kalen DeBoer, you took that Washington program as far as you can go because things get a lot more difficult now that you're moving to the Big Ten, honestly. So good on him. And he comes off as kind of like a no-nonsense sort of guy. I think that would play down in Alabama. That is a tough act to follow. What I marvel here at, the lightning speed of these hires, Danger, where the NFL is more EEO and let's get our all, apparently college football, it's like many years ago. Hey, who do you want? You want the job? Great. Come on down. We're not, interviewing a bunch of people.
In the world of name, image, and likeness, we've got to field a roster here. So let's get these guys in place sooner rather than later so we can know what our team is going to look like next year. And yeah, you mentioned it. The expectations are going to be sky high as they always are in Alabama, but I like the hire. I think DeBoer is nails. I like the demeanor of the coach. I like the toughness of the coach. I think he's going to get a lot out of that team. And that's a tough gig. You're stepping into the shadow of Nick Saban. But if anybody could do that, I think DeBoer is that kind of. He appears to have that kind of mettle. So looking forward to seeing what that looks like on the sideline of Tuscaloosa. The Patriots have their new head coach, Gerard Mayo, gets the gig. He had that clause in his contract that anointed him as the successor to Belichick. So they waste no time. One day after Belichick says his goodbyes, Mayo is in as the new head coach of the New England Patriots. We should also mention the Bills injury report today and Sean McDermott making it known that both Gabe Davis and Taylor Rapp will be out for Sunday's game. We'll see with the questionable tag here on corner Rasul Douglas, linebacker Terrell Dodson heading into this weekend.
Yeah, so can the Bills get by without Gabe Davis? I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Sunday, 1:00. How much passing is actually going to happen here?
The Gabe Davis element that I think will be missed is the blocking. Because let's face it, he's the ultimate boom or bust guy in terms of offensive production. But the thing that doesn't show up in the stat sheet is he's one hell of a blocker in the run game. And Sherfield can do that. Sherfield's a good blocker as well. But Davis is just, that's his, for me, that's what he brings to the table now. More so than any offensive production. That's just kind of what I know him for now.
One little clue I picked up from One Bills Live, if you listened earlier today with Brownie, because sometimes he'll drop little nuggets, and he went out of his way to talk about Linval Joseph. Linval Joseph, defensive tackle, one of the best run stuffers, but he's up there in age. And you really haven't seen him on the field all that much, but if you know that these are going to be primarily run downs, like that'd be a heck of a guy to back up Daquan Jones. Or can you imagine a 3rd and 1 with both Daquan Jones and Linval Joseph clogging up the middle? So I think that's something to look forward to. Linval Joseph inactive in that game down in Miami.
Speaking of the Bills defense, congratulations to Taron Johnson, second-team All-Pro slot corner. No Buffalo Bills making first-team All-Pro.
Good.
So they'll play with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. Like, what did Dallas get? Like, Dallas got 9 players overall named, like, in all these teams.
9 times.
And granted, like, CeeDee Lamb, he's a beast. They have some players in the secondary. Like, yes, Dallas has talent. But so, too, does Buffalo. And it's just funny how Ed Oliver this year, having his finest year, not getting really the run. Like their left tackle, Deion Dawkins, same thing. Like to me, he would have warranted maybe a nod there, but he didn't get it either. And Brock Purdy got 2 votes. Josh Allen got 1. Lamar Jackson, 45 votes overall to be first-team All-Pro quarterback.
A new GM in Washington, or a VP of football ops, whatever his title might end up being. Right now, actually, technically, there are 2 GMs under the employ of the Washington Commanders. It's going to be interesting to see here over the next couple of days how that all shakes out.
I'm a little surprised here because let me check that. Generally speaking, new owners come in and they think they know what to be doing here, and they spend a lot of money. See Terry Pegula with the Sabres or the guy with the Carolina Panthers. You can cite a bunch of different things. Well, when Josh Harris came in and these rumors, speculation that would be the place for Bill Belichick, that they would trade for Bill Belichick ain't going to go to Washington. They're actually doing this the right way, in my opinion. You're hiring a GM who will hire his coach, and they'll figure out the quarterback situation from there. Get everything aligned. Don't do a little quick Band-Aid with Bill Belichick. Why did I kind of put the brakes on that? Well, because Josh Harris, he's new to the NFL. I think he's smart enough to understand with his experience owning the Sixers and the Devils to just hire good people and let them do their job.
And then finally, big news for the Ravens. No game this week. They're on their bye, but tight end Mark Andrews' window to open to return from IR. He's back on the practice field after he suffered that ankle injury. That was back in November, middle of November. So you could see tight end Mark Andrews, their leading receiver, back as soon as next weekend's divisional round game.
That is great news for the Ravens.
Absolutely.
And so you're hoping that some team, whether that's Houston or Cleveland, goes into Baltimore, but getting ahead of ourselves. As far as this Bills game, because of the weather, I usually you kind of build up the confidence as the week goes along, right? I think it's gone in the other direction here, right? At least it has for me here.
Yeah. Happy hour next in the sports bar. We'll recap all the big news of the day. We'll get to a round of shots as well. We have time for your calls at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. The Fan Rochester. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. As good as the regular season is, there is nothing like what we have this weekend. NFL Super Wild Card Weekend, 6 games, 3 days, and for these teams, win or go home. You'll always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. Been spending a lot of time today talking about the plays that we like for this weekend's action. PJ Glasser from BetQL was awesome with us, sharing his favorite plays. And if you want to follow my picks or PJ's picks, you can go to FanDuel right now. If you're a new customer, get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike to join today. That's FanDuel.com/MIKE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
You're listening. And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills Friday injury report. Gabe Davis and Taylor Rapp are both out, listed as questionable. Rasul Douglas and Tyrell Dodson. Terrell Bernard, he has the proper mindset.
We know who we are. We know who we need to be. And, I think if that team shows up, I feel like we could play with anybody, especially on defense, being fast, physical, affecting the quarterback, stopping the run, and taking the ball away. Those are a few things that we talk about, and a few things that, we live by. And we understand if we're able to do those things, it'll help us win games.
Weather continues to be a concern. Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency that's going to run throughout the weekend. Buffalo Bills are asking for snow shovelers Saturday night. The pay rate is $20 an hour. Amherst hockey tonight in Charlotte, 7 o'clock. The outdoor game tomorrow. Gerard Mayo, the new head coach in New England. Kalen DeBoer, the new head coach in Alabama. Gene Battaglia, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. It's football.